What's going on, guys? Let me start this video with a question. Are you a huge sports fan and do you like going to sports games? Well, today you're in luck because I have a promo code for SeatGeek, which is a ticket sharing app that rates each ticket deal you might come across on a scale of 0 to 10, with 0 being the worst and 10 being the best. Scores more towards 0 show up in red, while scores more towards 10 show up in green. My promo code to get $20 off on SeatGeek is OberSports. You use that code, you get $20 off on any single purchase you want on SeatGeek. With that being said, let's get to the video. What's going on, guys? Jacob Ober here. So, this entire video is dedicated to debunking some of the tiredest arguments used against Aaron Rodgers, in particular the ones that Dov Kleiman has used on Twitter, who made an entire tweet thread about Aaron Rodgers and why he isn't as good as everyone thinks he is. The 5 things that he cited as to why Aaron Rodgers isn't good is that apparently he is a bad decision maker, he is not clutch, he is not a leader, he has bad intangibles, and he has bad mental toughness. I'm going to start with the decision-making. That is the easiest one to debunk. Just look at Aaron Rodgers' touchdown-interception ratio. It's the greatest in NFL history. That is all you need to know to debunk that part. The next part is mental toughness. How is Aaron Rodgers not mentally tough? This guy has played quarterback in the National Football League for 14 years now. He is one of the all-time greats, and the fact that he never, ever goes out of his way to respond to any critics or criticism whatsoever is more than enough proof to show that this guy is plenty enough mentally tough to play football. Obviously, he's been in the league 14 years. He has worked with so many different coaches, so many different guys in the locker room. The guy is mentally tough, and I have never once heard him call out a reporter or someone who criticizes him or his game. I've never seen it. He just completely tunes it out. So that is extraordinarily false on Dov Kleiman's part. The next category is intangibles. You cannot have the level of success that Aaron Rodgers has had in his career without having good intangibles. It is impossible to have the kind of success that he's had. In fact, if you are an NFL quarterback that starts like on a regular basis in the league, there is a very, very good chance that you have good intangibles, because there is no way that you would be able to keep up any sort of level of success without it. And, you know, I'm kind of confused why that was even brought up in the first place, because even if you look past the fact that the guy has been an all-time great throughout his career, you also look at the fact that he continuously plays mind games with the opponent, especially when you consider the hard count thing. Aaron Rodgers is the master of the hard count. No one does it better than him. Nobody catches guys napping on defense with the 12-men thing as well. Like, that just screams like intangibles. Like, the guy has a otherworldly knowledge of the game. He is so good on the field at doing stuff like that. And like I said, even forgetting that part, completely throwing it out, you cannot be a successful quarterback in the NFL, let alone the kind of success that Aaron Rodgers has had, without having good intangibles. It doesn't work. The next category is leadership. Now, this is probably the one that you could make the best argument for, but at the same time, there's really not a whole lot of evidence to make the argument. I mean, you can mention the fact that he's not really the most vocal guy in the locker room, yeah. Is he a natural-born leader like Favre or Brady? No. But that doesn't mean he's a bad leader. There's no examples that I can think of him not being a good leader for the Packers. I can't think of any. And like I can actually think of a few off the top of my head that examples of him being a good leader. One was from last season when he consoled Mason Crosby after he missed like his 4th or 5th field goal of the game against the Lions. He just kind of like went over and put his arm around him and said, "Hey, it's gonna be all right, man. We all make mistakes." Like that's a sign of a leader right there. And you know, he might not be too vocal about it. He might not be the guy who stands in the middle of the huddle and is screaming and shit. But like, he leads through his play on the field. Like he's not, like I said, he's not vocal, but he lets his play do the talking for him. And his level of play over the years has been outstanding, and it's gotten him into the discussion of one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. So to call him not a leader, like, this also goes into like the thing like where if you have the level of success that Aaron Rodgers has had, how could you be a bad leader? Like, I feel like a negative presence in the locker room like that wouldn't be able to have the kind of sustained success that Rodgers has had in his career. So really, it even though this is probably the best one you could make an argument for in terms of the fact that he's just not a guy who's gonna, be a super vocal guy in the locker room, and he's gonna step up in the middle of the huddle, and he's gonna, lead the troops into battle or whatever. But like, it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And last but not least, we have the clutch argument. Dov Kleiman doesn't think that Aaron Rodgers is a clutch quarterback. And a lot of people like to throw out some very senseless and meaningless statistics to somehow back that up, like his supposed 0-37 record against teams with a winning record when trailing in the fourth. That is one of the most misleading things I've ever seen in my life. I can't, like, because a lot of his comebacks have been against teams that either early in the season when they were 500 or, the one against the Bears at the beginning of last year. The Bears were a 12-14 last year, weren't they? They had one of the best defensive units in the league, if not the best defensive unit in the league. And he went out there on one leg, down 17 points, down 20 points actually in the second half, and he went out and he won them the game. But that doesn't get counted as a win because the Bears were 0-0. It's just a misleading stat. It doesn't mean anything. So to debunk the clutch argument, you guys can think of plenty of moments of Aaron Rodgers being clutch in his career, of course. Super Bowl 45, he was incredibly clutch in that game, especially the 3rd and 10 to Greg Jennings late in the fourth quarter to keep the drive alive and get the Packers an extra 3 points to extend the lead to 6 late in the fourth quarter. That was very, very clutch. That was probably one of his better throws all time. He threaded the needle, like, insanely good on that throw. Then you go to 2013, Week 17, of course, the game-winning drive, game-winning touchdown pass to Randall Cobb against the Chicago Bears to win the division. But that doesn't count, because 0-37, right? The Bears were 8-7 when that happened. But the loss got them to 8-8, so that doesn't count. Like I said, it's just a meaningless statistic. It doesn't mean anything. But then you go to 2014 against the Cowboys, again, playing basically on one leg, needing a game-winning drive, and then sealing the game with a few clutch throws late in that one, in the playoffs nonetheless. And then you go to the game after that, where he led the Packers on a game-tying drive against the Seahawks after the defense and Brandon Bostic proceeded to blow that game. They tied it, got into overtime, didn't see the ball again. A lot of people like to forget that part. Aaron Rodgers got the ball back with 1:22 left at his own 20, down 3, and got him into field goal range. That's pretty clutch to me. In the NFC Championship game, that's pretty clutch to me, especially on one leg. He was basically limping around. He ran for a first down on that drive, and he barely could get across. He was limping so bad. But then you go to the next year. Hail Mary in Detroit. Not clutch. The game in Arizona that in the playoffs that year in the division round, he was at his 2-yard line, 4th and 20, with under a minute to go, and he scored him a touchdown. Then again, 0-37 against winning teams, so not clutch, right? Then you go to the following year. Run the table in and of itself is clutch enough because the Packers were 4-6, and they needed to win every single game to get to the playoffs, and he went out and won them every single game. No margin for error. Had one of the best stretches of quarterback play I've ever seen. Not to mention he made several very clutch throws throughout that stretch. There was the game-winning touchdown pass in Houston in the fourth quarter that put the Packers up for good to Jordy Nelson. I'd consider it clutch. There was that game in Detroit, final game of the season, that he had one of his best performances ever. National stage on the road, division on the line. Went out and threw for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. Then again, not clutch, right? Then he had, of course, the Dallas game in 2016, where he practically willed the Packers to victory on a backyard throw to Jared Cook. Everyone knows what I'm talking about. Don't have to go too much more into detail on that one. Then there's 2017. He led another game-winning drive against Dallas that year, and he also led a comeback against the Cincinnati Bengals after being down, 21-3, I believe, through the game-tying touchdown pass, then hit Geronimo Allison. Beautiful throw to Geronimo Allison in overtime to set the Packers up in field goal range. Win that game. Then he got injured, and we all know that story from there. But then there was last year, the Bears game. Let's see here. The 49ers game, he let it come back there. That was a very, very impressive performance by him, actually. Let's see. There was a few more in 2007, or last year. There was one against the Jets. And I feel like I'm missing another one. Shoot. I mean, but like I said, regardless, I mean, I just spent like 4 or 5 minutes going over like everything I can remember, and there's plenty of clutch moments of Aaron Rodgers, and I'm not even including the games, where he made like 1 or 2 clutch throws to seal the game or anything. Like, clutch is not just coming back from big deficits, it's making big throws in big moments, and Aaron Rodgers has done that throughout his career, and he has done that in many, many spots. Like, it's not all, black and white like that. It's not like you have to be clutch. This is the only way you can be clutch. You have to come back from a deficit in the fourth quarter. That's the only way you can be clutch. No. There's plenty of ways for anyone to be clutch. And Aaron Rodgers... Oh, yeah, I forgot also. There's the one in Miami 2014, that game-winning drive, and they were down by 4 and they needed a touchdown. That was another one. Just came to my mind. But, there's probably a lot that I'm even missing that I didn't even remember. But, like I said, clutch is something that can be applied to a lot of things that Aaron Rodgers has done in his career that don't fit the narrative, Like, for instance, 2014 against the Patriots. I remember it was like a 3rd and 5, and the Packers needed a first down to seal the game, and Aaron Rodgers stands in the pocket, throws a strike to Randall Cobb for the first down to win the game against who else but Tom Brady. That was pretty clutch, and he had one of his better performances in his career that game, too. He had 370 yards, 2 touchdowns, really high passer rating at Lambeau Field against another team that ended up winning the Super Bowl that year. Like, come on, you guys know what I'm talking about here, but I've gone on long enough about the clutch thing. Point of the matter is, I have pretty much debunked every single one of the things that Dov Kleiman said that Aaron Rodgers wasn't good at. Doing basically 5 minutes of research at most. At most. And most of the stuff is off the top of my head. Like, it just doesn't make sense. None of the things that he said makes sense. You cannot possibly think that Aaron Rodgers is a bad decision maker, or isn't mentally tough, or isn't clutch, or, whatever. It just doesn't make sense. It's just people hate on this guy more than I've ever seen. And, I'm a big Aaron Rodgers fan. Probably not as big as some other people, and I'm willing to criticize the guy when he does bad things. I was criticizing him at the end of last year for, not taking some more chances, and that was something that a lot of people criticized him for last year. But the fact of the matter is, like, people just hate the guy because he has been so successful in his career, and they're thrown off by his supposedly arrogant style of play and attitude. Like, I honestly don't understand that at all, because I've never really seen that much arrogance out of Aaron Rodgers, really. I mean, like I said, he's kind of a quiet guy. He's not really that vocal. He doesn't always want to be in the spotlight. I just don't see it, and people just make up their own silly narratives to try and discredit Rodgers, and a lot of them are people who feel threatened by him, NFC North rivals take shots at him all the time. Patriots fans take shots at him all the time because they challenge Tom Brady. Saints fans take shots at him all the time because he challenges Drew Brees as being one of the best quarterbacks. It's people that are threatened by him that make these claims. Dov Kleiman is a very, very big Tom Brady fan, and he probably feels threatened by Aaron Rodgers and the level of success that he's had. over his career. Now that Aaron Rodgers had a less than stellar year last year, despite the numbers saying otherwise, he feels like it's free game to just throw anything at all out there about Aaron Rodgers, and people will believe it. So, anyways, I've spent long enough on this video. Thanks for watching, you guys. I just wanted to get all of that out there, debunk all of it. Really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at Obersports41512 and on Instagram, username Jacob_Ober. See you guys next time, and go Pack Go.